Hello, you're very welcome to this episode of My Generation Gap podcast, where you have me, Stuart Vincent Moore, a 50-year-old Generation Xer, talking film, pop culture, telly. I used to say art and culture then, didn't I? But it sounds a bit fancy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit too fancy, I think.
Film, culture, pop culture, with my 18-year-old niece, Harriet Pilkington, a member of Generation Z.
Well, for first, I'm 19, and it's Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Z, yeah, Gen Z. Yeah, but I'm 51H.
No, you might say 18 every week. It's just occurred to me that maybe I've never corrected you. Maybe you just said 18 for the past 2 years.
Yeah. Plus, I'll do that thing where I pretend I don't know how old you are,
Yeah.
and then I've done it so often I don't
That
actually know how old you are.
track. Yeah.
There was a reset when I went on your 18th birthday.
Yeah.
Because we went to the pub.
Does it reset at like 10, 18, 20,
Yeah.
30?
Yeah, and I'll do that with myself now because I keep saying 50, but I'm actually 51.
Yeah.
H, I've written a proper introduction to this. So should we get straight into it?
Yeah.
Let's get straight into it because this week
You
we're going to
covered up
talk
nearly
about...
your whole camera lens then with your papers. I've written an introduction.
Do you know what, H? This week I've written more notes than I've ever written on any other film. I think it's because I love this film so much. And I've written so much about it.
Hang on, pause a second. Hello?
Hello, you alright?
Yeah.
I'm not grumpy anymore now.
Okay. I'm on the podcast with Uncle Stu.
I forgot you were doing that.
All right then. I'll see you after the podcast.
Bye.
Bye. Go on.
We're leaving that in.
We are. I knew you were going to say that.
Dear listener, that was my sister. And my sister is Harriet's mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've written more notes on this film than earlier because I think I love it so much. Every time I watch it, I see something new in it. I see something different.
Every
and I
time
just need
you've
write
managed
it
to
on
watch this film more than once.
Right. So I've written a proper introduction.
Yeah.
April 1923, while the mainland of Ireland is torn apart by civil war, a smaller, sharper conflict is brewing on the island of Inisherin. It starts with a simple, devastating sentence, "I just don't like you anymore."
That is literally it, yeah. So you walk us through the plot of this film because I'm really interested in how you're going to explain the plot to everybody.
So we did this last week, didn't we? We
Yeah.
did Karate Kid and we went through every scene in the film, scene by scene. And
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again because it took...
Because it was 2 hours long.
Because it was the recording of our podcast was longer than the Karate Kid film, and we even said that film is too long.
Yes.
Let's not go through it scene by scene and break it all down. But what I'll do is I will give an overall summary of of the plot of the film, and then we'll talk about what we think about it afterwards.
Yeah.
So we open up, don't we, on Poreg. He's walking through the village or walking across the island. And he's on the way to call for his best mate, Colm, because it's 2:00 in the afternoon and they're going down the pub. And he knocks on his door and he doesn't answer. And he's going, "Oh, well, that's a bit weird. Why is he not going down the pub?"
Yeah.
And he looks through the window and he's actually just sat in his house ignoring him.
Yeah.
So Poreg goes down the pub, gets his pint in, and everybody says, "Where's Colm? Is he not with you?" He goes, "No." He said, "Have you fallen out?" He says, "No, I don't think we've fallen out." And they say, "Are you rowing?" "I don't think we're rowing." He says, "Well, maybe you should go back and call for him again." So he goes back and he's not there, and he's actually sees him walking to the pub. And he gets there and Colm sat in a pub.
Yeah.
And Poreg says, "What's going on here?" And he said, "Look, I don't want to sit with you anymore. I don't want to.
Yeah. I don't want to be your friend
I'm
anymore.
tired of you. I don't want to be your friend anymore." And there's some really great dialogue about them falling out. You know, Poreg says, if I've said something while I was drunk, I'm really sorry, but I don't think I had. And he said, "No, you haven't said anything while you were drunk."
Yeah, he's like trying to find out what he's done wrong, isn't he?
He's trying to find what is it. Why are you not talking to me?
Yeah.
He said, "I just don't like you anymore." I said, "I just, want you to leave me alone." So Poreg is upset. He goes home. He talks to his sister, and So then his sister goes to see Colin and says, why are you fighting with my brother? What's going on?
Yeah.
And he says, well, I just don't like him. He's dull.
Yeah.
I'd rather just, I've realised that I'm getting old. I haven't got that many years left in me. I want to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
No one remembers nice people being nice and remember musicians or artists. He says, so I want to focus on making a great piece of music and leaving my legacy.
Yeah, because he plays the violin, doesn't he?
Yeah, he plays the violin and he's making this song, which, the music will be called The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
To do this, he can't waste his time spending time with his old best mate, Paraig, because he takes him away from his creativity and dulls his brain by talking about what's in his donkey's poo.
Yeah.
But then Paraig gets upset, doesn't he? And he says, he keeps on trying to make friends with him. And he says, look, there's an ultimatum then, isn't there? And he says, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to cut off one of my fingers and I'm going to throw it at your front door.
Yeah.
And then you'll be sorry, won't you?
Yeah, every time he talks to me, I'm going to chop off one of my fingers and throw it at your front door.
Yeah.
It's a really normal response, really.
It's a bit extreme, isn't it?
Very extreme.
So he doesn't understand that, so he leaves him alone. But then eventually he can't, so he goes and talks to him. And then, true to his word, he chops off a finger.
Yeah. How could you avoid somebody? It doesn't work. He ends up calling his bluff, doesn't he, on the first instance?
Yeah, and he chops his finger. I mean, talking about villages in Ireland.
Yeah.
I watched it first with Caroline, and it started. We didn't know anything about the film at all. And it started off, and they're walking through the village, and Paraig goes to his house, and it's in 1923, so there's no electricity, there's nothing like this. And Caroline said, "When is this film set?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know," because it could have been set in the 1980s.
Yeah,
because that's what it was like when we were over there.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because those places stay very similar, don't they? Yeah.
In previous episodes, when you've talked about Jimmy Tissue, so dear listener, Jimmy Tissue is my dad or Harriet's granddad, and his family all came from Ireland, and we would go over there and visit them in the holidays and whatnot. And there was one point where you thought granddad had gone over, or my dad had gone over to work on the farm, which sounds like a very grand thing. When they talk about the farm, it was like Siobhan and Padre's house, because it was just like a house like that, a few fields, a donkey.
Yeah.
I think my granddad had 3 cows at one point.
There was definitely chickens, because Mum's got chicken trauma.
There were chickens. Yeah, because we used to get scared by the chickens.
Yeah.
Because there were some of them were quite vicious and aggressive.
Yeah.
We would frequently get chased by them.
Yeah.
But you would see people, walking their cows up the lanes like Paraig's doing in there. And
I tell you what's bizarre is, like, if you're not from a farming world or anything like that, you think things like my boyfriend's mum has just met somebody who he's got a farm and they've moved in together, and she messages us things like, sheep's had a cesarean this morning, and I'm like, the sheep's had a cesarean? Like, I don't know why, you just never think about those things. And then, like, yesterday she was like, oh, we bought this cow today. Like, how do you just go and buy a cow? Like, if you're not on a farm, you don't think about those things. And then you think, how would you actually... And then, like, I went downstairs last night, and I was like, I think they're about buying a horse next. And my mum was like, how much are horses and cows? And it's like, if you're not from that life, you would absolutely... They could be, like, £100 or £10,000. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, you don't know, do you?
No.
Well, this is it. And we used to be told stories by my grandma over there, which you've never met, my grandma. But she would talk about having to go out into the fields sometimes and pop the cows with, like, knitting needles and, like...
Yeah.
Because the gases build up inside them, and if you don't pop them to let the gases escape, they'll explode.
The cows will explode if you don't.
Yeah, they're just like they pop.
This is what I mean. Like, how would anybody who hasn't like lived or had a farm know that? That's crazy.
Yeah, but then this is like the house, and at that time we're in the old house, which I think it did have some electric lights, but like the running water. When I was really young, my granddad helped. I was about 8 years old,
Yeah.
dragged this pipe all the way up to the top of the hill because we lived on this hillside.
Yeah.
We dragged it all the way up to put it in this spring, one end of the pipe in the spring at the top because there's a natural spring up there to get water down into that so we could have running water in the house.
Wow.
It would always get blocked up with eels.
Eels?
Eels in
Yeah.
the pipe. Yeah.
Well, I suppose any kind of
yeah.
like sea animal or things like that. Yeah.
Well, eels have an amazing life journey, which we won't go into that right now, but you should look them up.
Yeah, that's random.
The lifespan of an eel is quite amazing.
I can't say I've ever thought about the lifespan of an eel, to be honest.
Oh, they're amazing. You know, they're all born in the same place. All eels go to a particular area of the sea to breed,
Right.
and then they disperse across the world.
That's bizarre.
And then when they're grown and adult and ready to breed again,
Yeah.
they go back to
They
the
go back to-
Sargasso Sea.
What, like one place in the whole world?
One place in the whole world.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
where all eels go to breed. Yeah.
I wonder how they know that. That's weird.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Let's leave eels blocking pipes and popping cows
Popping cows.
and get back to the film. I forgot where we were up
If you
to.
look where we were at. We were at where
Yeah.
he said, "I will cut off my fingers." If you
Yeah, so
don't
that's
leave
the
me
ultimatum,
alone."
doesn't it? And he
calls his bluff.
follows through.
Yeah.
He calls his bluff and he cuts one of his fingers off and throws it at his door, and everybody's shocked. People are saying, "What's going on?" And it just progresses from there, doesn't it? With escalation of arguments and tension, and Colm eventually cutting off 4 of his fingers,
And then throwing him at
gets
his
to-
door. Yeah.
throwing them at his door, and then his donkey.
Chokes on a finger and dies. That's insane.
Parag sees one of Colm's musician friends from the mainland, and he tells a lie, doesn't he? He says, "Oh, one thing about this film, Age, is it's so funny. I would class it as a comedy, as a dark comedy."
Yeah, I think when online it's a drama comedy. That's what it's classed as.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's one point where he's given a lift to Parag's given a lift to this guy from the mainland who is Colm's musician friend from the university.
Yeah.
He said, once he realises who he is, he thinks, "Do you know what? I'm going to send him away from the island because this will be a poke at Colm then."
Yeah.
So he says, "Oh, I'm glad I found you because there's a message from the mainland. Your daddy's died. No, your daddy's been hit by a bread fan." He's going, "What?" He said,
Yeah.
"My daddy's dead." He said, "No, not your daddy, your mummy. Your mummy's been hit by
Yeah.
a bread fan, and she's, she could be dying. You better go home quick."
Yeah.
Because he goes, "Right, I am." He said, "This is
He,
terrible
like,
because the
jumps
same
out
thing
the-
happened to my dad."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
He
was
said,
it. It was
"And
like
if
the
it's the
same
same
thing
bread
happened
fan,
to
I'm
the-
going to go wild."
Yeah. I thought it was something like that when you said that. Yeah, it was something like the same thing happened to my mum. Yeah, and he like runs off, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, if it's the same bread. There's this escalation of rowing and violence, which then culminates in Parag saying, "Look, I'm gonna burn your house down.
Yeah.
And if you're in it, I don't care. But tomorrow at 2:00 after
Yeah.
church, I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna burn your house down. And if you're in it, then that's all the better."
Yeah.
And he does. And then after that, you think, "Oh, there might be some coming together. There might be some."
Well, he's in the house, isn't he?
reconnection. He is in the house, yeah, but he gets out, doesn't he? And then
Yeah.
they talk at the end, and they said, "That's it. I don't think we're ever going to be pals again."
Yeah.
I
Well, that's it. He
kind of
said
wish
some
you were
things
dead.
some things are too big to move on from, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So you watched this film, mate. You watched it for the first time. In the time that we've been doing this, I'd watched it once before with Caroline when it
Yeah.
was first out. Then I watched it again a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then over the last 2 weeks, I think I've watched it twice.
Yeah.
And every time I've watched it, it's got better. I've enjoyed it more, and I've seen more in it, and
Yeah.
I've loved it. What did you think, Age?
So I think it was one of the most bizarre films I've ever watched. Put it this way, I went downstairs and Mum and Dad were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm watching this film called Banshees of Inisherin." And they're like, "Oh, what's that about?" I was like, "Oh, just 2 blokes that are like middle-aged, and one of them says that he don't want to be friends anymore, and then he chops all his fingers off and throws them at his door, and then his donkey chokes on one of the fingers, and then he lights his house on fire." And then that's about it, really. And they were like, "That does not sound like a film." And I kind of agree with them, to be honest. It's a very bizarre... It was long. It was really long. I think to represent what it was trying to represent, I don't think... It was just so long. I can't... like, in the last bit, I was like, oh, is there any way I can, like, just... like, how long's left? I kept having to look how long was left on the line, because it was just so slow.
Did you watch this film in double speed?
I wish I could. But it was on, like, was it on Amazon or something where you can't? And I was like...
No, it was on Disney.
Disney. I was like, if I could have watched that on 2 times speed, I would have done. Because it was...
Oh, I'd have been really cross if you did.
To be fair, I think watching it at 2 times speed would have actually made it easier to digest.
Oh, well, I'm disappointed in you, Age. Because this film, I think it fits my definition of a perfect film. I don't think there's a wasted...
absolutely not.
I don't think there's a wasted moment in it.
There's not a wasted moment in it. There's like 1.5 hours of wasted moments in it.
Every moment in this film, every pause, every breath, every line, every line of dialogue, every shot adds something, tells you something, adds something, whether it be funny, whether it be meaningful, beautiful, it does it adds something to the film, not a wasted minute.
I think that I think that it's one of those films where I wonder, do you think that your nostalgia plays a part in how much you like the film?
Perhaps. I think because there's connections in there that I really connect with the film, and I connect with the visuals of it, I connect with the characters on it, and there's some of the history of it that I connect with, absolutely.
Yeah.
The first time I watched this film, I thought it was just all about the Civil War. I thought it was an anti-war film, because while they're on this island off the west coast of Ireland, they can hear gunshots and rifle...
Yeah, they can hear the Civil War
firing from the mainland. They can hear the Civil War happening.
Yeah.
And they talk about that, and it's not really present on their island. It is, but it isn't. It's there. You can see them painting the post boxes of different colours as the war is coming to an end. It's referenced a lot, isn't it? But it's not really happening on there, but it sort of is, because there's a sort of an undercurrent.
Yeah, I think
on
it's
the
represented,
island.
isn't it? The escalation. I mean, you look at... I think as well, I've got a bit of a theory about, do you know, the names though. It's been a week, and remembering their names is not going to be one of my strong fronts on this. But the bloke who cuts all his fingers off... Column. But I don't think it needed 2 hours to explain this. But I believe the deeper meaning behind it, I took it as, like, depression and pressure that he was under to feel like he needed to leave a legacy. And by blaming... is it Podrick?
Yeah, Podrick.
Yeah, Podrick.
Or Podrick, yeah.
Yeah, Podrick. By blaming Podrick for cutting his own fingers off, that was a way for him to disregard this legacy and not put himself under that much pressure. Does that make sense? To relieve himself from the pressure and blame somebody else.
Yeah, I sort of get what you're saying, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
In some part, yeah. I think there's more than one thing going on. I think firstly, it's the allegory for war, where you get the two people fighting and the escalation there, which you'd think should be simple to resolve if they just talked about it. And that happens a lot in war. It's happening right now, doesn't it? Where you just get belligerent, and it is men, isn't it? Just belligerent men who are being aggressive and unnecessarily so, not willing to back down, not willing to admit they're wrong, or not willing to appear weak, the strong man.
Who do you think was more... What's your opinion on the two characters? And which character have you looked into most, or do you kind of resonate with most? Which character?
There are 4 main characters in this film. There's Colin, played by Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah.
There's Parag, played by Colin Farrell. There's Siobhan, played by Kerry Condon, and Dominic, played by Barry Keoghan.
Yeah.
They're the 4 characters, and they're all played beautifully by those actors.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let's look at Siobhan first and her journey in the film. she's probably the most intelligent person on that island. She's the one that's got all the life about her. She's full of life. She's full of colour. Every time she's on screen, there's splashes of colour around her. She's the only one that isn't wearing browns and greys and whites
Yeah.
and blacks.
And she's the one who gets offered to go to the mainland, isn't she?
Yeah, and she does leave because she has no choice, really. And she sees all these men around her,
Yeah.
you know, being dull, being argumentative and
Yeah.
not being able to talk. And she's the only person that's in touch with her feelings, isn't
She's
she?
rational, isn't she, as well, throughout it?
Well, she's rational, but then she's emotional in a good way because
yeah.
there's a scene in there where she's reading a book and Parade says, "Oh, what book are you reading? How's your book?" And she says, "Oh, it's sad."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, why are you reading that then? You know, you shouldn't be feeling sad. You should push those feelings down just like everybody else does
Yeah.
and ignore them, you know, and read something else."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well," and the look that she gives him, you know, is to say, "Well, no, a feeling's a feeling and it's fine to feel them. You have to feel them." And I think that's shown in those scenes where she's the only one that, well, actually, no, not the only one, because Dominic is quite similar. So Siobhan's in touch with her feelings and she's able to communicate those. And her growth is that she sees that, you know, there's no way to continue on the island. She has to leave, or else she'll just end up hating everybody and hating herself and falling into the same traps that everybody else has. Then you've got Dominic, who's a young lad. He's, 18, 19? He looks to be about 18, 19.
Yeah.
But he's quite an open book as well. His father's the policeman on the island. His father's abusing him sexually and violently. Is really horrible to him. But he is open and honest with everybody that he talks to. He becomes closer to Parade as Parade falls out with Colm. And when they're talking one day, Parade tells Dominic how he sent Colm's friend home after telling him about his dad getting hit by a bread van. And he said, "I think that might be the meanest thing I've ever heard."
Yeah.
And he said, "I thought you were one of the good guys, but you're actually just like everybody else." And he left. Yeah. And then he ends up taking his own life.
Yeah.
Well, we assume that he's taken his own life.
Yeah, I think that the symbolism in this film, like you said, with the colour schemes and death herself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very obvious what different characters are representing and things like that. But I just didn't enjoy it. You know, when I wanted to, because I could see the deeper meanings there, but I just wasn't as bothered. You know, upon watching it, I just thought, I'm just not as bothered. I don't know if there wasn't... And I watched it with Harley, so that the pair of us we watched it together, and neither of us bonded with any character or understood. Well, we understood, but we didn't feel anything, I don't think, really, towards the film that I would say I sometimes feel from other films.
Well, yeah, I understand that. And then you have Colm, who is the Brendan Gleeson character, and he's the fiddle player. He's the older of the two men who have fallen out. And he really not in touch with any of his feelings. And that's shown by all the masks that he has in his house.
Yes.
His house is filled full of all these masks and puppets.
Yeah.
You know, kind of demonstrating that he's always hiding behind these. So when you say, well, who do you connect with the most? Who was the right person? This argument, well, there wasn't one. And that's true about war as well, you know, the Civil War and other wars.
I think anything in life, that there isn't always a right and a wrong. Wallabies aren't good or bad. You know, it's, everything's circumstantial, isn't it? But I do think that with Colm not being in touch with his feelings, he caused, I would say, a lot of issues for a lot of other people. Although equally so did Podrick. Yeah,
and he...
in their own way.
I think spending time with Siobhan, and he is more open with his feelings, which is why he constantly pursues Colm to kind of rebond and repair their friendship.
Well, because at first as well, they think he's ill, don't they? Because it was such a shock. They think, like, is he, like, Podrick thinks anyway, he's like, what's going on? Because it's confusing.
Well, he is ill as well, isn't he? Because he talks to Colm goes to confession a couple of times in this film, and each
Yeah.
time he talks about having the despair.
Yes.
How's the despair in you? So, I mean, it's about men.
Yeah.
It's about the behaviour
Yeah.
of men. And Colm not being able to express himself in a way to his friends because he either feels like he can't or
Yeah.
he's shamed. But he's depressed, he has his despair because he's getting old and
Yeah.
he's, you know, looking at his own mortality and what's he going to leave behind, and he feels like he's desperate to leave something solid behind,
Yeah.
which, you know, in his legacy, which is his music. And that's because he doesn't have anybody or anything else in his life. He has no other connections other than Pareg. That's his best friend.
Yeah.
He can't open up or talk to anybody or discuss his feelings with his best friend because he's constantly hidden behind his masks, and that's a lot of what men do to each other,
Yeah.
silence them. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of humour on the island and a lot of a lot of what we call banter, which is it's quite damaging.
It's dismissive, isn't it? I think a lot of the time.
It's dismissive, and it silences a lot of people, and it silences men. So him not being able to talk about his feelings, and then Pareg doing the same, and that course of action, then it's a really heartbreaking scene where you hear him reading a letter that he's sending to Siobhan doesn't tell her about Jenny the donkey dying, and he says, oh, everything's fine, but he's laying in bed crying and saying, I miss you, I wish you were still here. But he can't say that. It's like Colm has forced him down this route of shutting himself off to everybody. So you have Pareg who's damaged by this conflict, and now he can't get in touch with his feelings at all. It's like he's been broken by them. So he just becomes like everybody else. And then you have Dominic, the young lad, and he's sort of open and honest about his feelings, and he feels all sorts of things. But it's sad, really. The first scene that we see Dominic, he has that stick, doesn't it? It's like a stick with a big hook on it, like a big shepherd's crook. And it's a really funny line. And he says, look, I found this stick here. What do you think it's for? Do you think it's for hooking things that are a length of the stick away? Ultimately, at the end, it's what they use to fish him out of the lake, and then it's returned back to Mrs. McCormick. It's almost like it's a portent of doom all the way through.
Well, do you think it kind of symbolised the... is it a scythe? Is that what it's called? The Grim Reaper?
No, it's not a scythe.
No, but do you think it
it's a shepherd's
represent
crook.
that, though?
I suppose it could do in some way.
Yeah, because if he's holding it in the first scene and then he's kind of... And she carries it. I don't know if you noticed in one of the scenes, like
she does,
it is like she's the Grim Reaper.
Well, the Banshee, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what a Banshee is?
No, I don't. Go on, tell me.
So, Banshee. So you would hear the cry of the Banshee in Ireland. You would hear it on a night.
Yeah. Have you heard it?
No.
Okay.
But you would hear the cry of the Banshee, and it would mean that somebody was going to die.
Is it an urban legend?
If you heard the Banshee cry. It's a myth. It's an ancient myth.
It's a myth, yeah.
The Banshee was supposed to be a spirit of a woman who would...
Oh, so is she the Banshee? Is she representing... It's a myth.
Mrs. McCormick is the...
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's a representation.
But the Banshee is a myth, and if you heard the Banshee crying or howling, screaming, then somebody would be dying. Either you or somebody close to you would be dying in that household.
Yes.
So it is almost like death hanging over
definitely
everybody, and it does on that island.
Yeah, I do see the elements in it and all the different symbolism and things, but I am inclined to give it... What even generation is this?
Well,
when did it come out? It's new, isn't it?
2022.
So I kind of want to give it a Gen Z loss, but I feel like I'm on the Gen Z team, so I feel like I want to give it a Gen Z win because I'm biased. So I'm happy with whatever you want to go for, but just know that I don't want it to be a win.
Let me just say, I think the film is an allegory for war, about escalation of violence and how damaging strong men can be.
Yeah.
In the world of politics, and you have casualties of those war, people fleeing death of the innocents,
Yeah.
generation violence and trauma. But all that also goes hand in hand with men and the behaviour of men.
Yeah.
And how men who cannot talk about what they're feeling, express what they're feeling honestly and openly for whatever fear or whatever reason, usually because of other men, then how damaging that is. So it is like a macrocosm and microcosm of the effects of men on on society. How
You've got
damaging
yourself
it
caught
is.
in a loop again. We're going through postmodernism again. And I think the film is chuffing random.
I think it's beautiful, and I would watch it again right now. I would watch it again and again and again because you will see something new in it. You'll see another look, another
Probably
glance.
because
another...
because I got bored the first time.
Watch it. It's one of those films. If you watch it 2, 3, 4 times, it gets better
Once
every
was
time
enough.
you watch it.
Once was enough.
Oh, I urge you to watch it again. I urge you to watch it again after everything I've just said, and you'll see all those things in it.
I don't think.
And then you got the history of Ireland in it as well. You know, you got Peder, the policeman, and how he's off to the mainland to hang people. It's, you know, and what side of the war are they on? He says, "Well, I don't care as long as I'm getting paid for it.
Yeah.
I don't know who's fighting who,
Yeah.
and I don't really care because he's just full of anger and violence." Isn't it? Which then he's just born out on his own son.
I do find those things really interesting, and all the symbolism we've talked about. I do find everything we talked about really interesting and significant. I just didn't get what I wanted out of the film. I just felt let down. As it went on and on, I just felt more and more disappointed in it. But I can see all the points that you're talking about, and I do find them really interesting. But I didn't quite get it from the film.
Okay, so you would not give this a Gen Z win? Do we have to call this a draw?
That's even with bias, Gen Z. Okay, we'll call it a draw because I feel like you're not going to sway.
No, I'm not. And
No.
if you don't agree with me, H, I'm going to cut off my fingers
I'll throw them at my front door
and throw them at your door. Yeah.
so that my donkey chokes on them. It's so random. You've got to admit that.
Well, that's what the death of innocence is. It's these unforeseen casualties of war and violence.
Yeah, but it's just a random film as well, though.
Well,
To watch I think I watched it on a Thursday evening. It was very random. And I read the description as a man ends his relationship with his wife and causes something like ruptures in his friendship. I read the description wrong. So when I started watching it, I thought, am I watching the right thing? And I had to check about halfway through. And I was like, no, I am watching the right thing. He ends his friendship. And I was like, oh, I'd read it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to be terrible at this test, because I think it's like 4 or 5 days ago I watched it. It is not fresh in my mind at all.
All right, well, let's do it then.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Simply the test. Da, 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 better than all the tests. Okay. This week, H, we've gone for quotes from the film.
Yeah.
So, question 1. What does Paraig tell Colum's friend to get him to leave the island?
He tells him that I think it's that his dad's been run over by a bread truck, and I think he says, "My mum, that happened to my mum," and then he runs off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Paraig is talking to John Joe, who runs the pub,
Yeah.
and John Joe says, "Oh, I saw Colum earlier on,"
Yeah.
and Paraig says, "Oh, did he look like he was? Maybe he's fallen out with me. Maybe he's just because he's having a bad day."
Yeah.
And he said, "When you saw him, did he look like he was having a bad day?"
Yeah.
What did John Joe say?
I'm pretty sure he says no, but I don't know I feel like it would have to be funnier than that to be put into the test.
He said no.
Go on.
He looked like he was having a day where he didn't want to talk to you.
I knew it was going to be something involving Podrick, like no until he saw you or something like that, yeah.
So when Siobhan goes to confront Colm
Yeah.
in a pub, saying, "Why are you not talking to my brother anymore?"
Yeah.
And Colm says, "Siobhan, he's dull."
Yeah.
What does Siobhan say?
Ooh. They talk about the other guy being dull, but I'm pretty sure they talk about the other guy being dull when she's talking to Podrick and not Colm. He's always been dull.
He's always been dull, and it's just, and you're all dull.
Yeah, and you're all dull. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, your tooth is free. H.
Ooh.
Dominic says, "What would you use this stick for?"
Yeah.
What would he use the stick for?
Grabbing things at stick length.
Grabbing things that are a length of a stick away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Oh, yeah, H for 3 for 4.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it? I mean, you're not going to win the
Well,
test
no.
because you've already got one wrong.
Yeah.
Although you were close, though.
Wasn't far off.
No. Question 5. H, what snack did I eat whilst watching the Banshees of Inisherin?
When did you watch Banshees of Inisherin?
Well, now, I've actually watched it a few times.
True.
But this is a homemade snack, actually, and I made it home as a real big treat.
As a real big treat.
Yeah.
Is it like a single product, like a cake, or is it like
Oh, similar, but it's not a cake. It's not sweet.
It's not sweet. A
But
loaf
it's something
of
I
bread.
baked. Yeah.
Was it?
I made some soda bread, H,
Some
and I
soda
did with
bread.
some Kerrygold.
Yeah, you like your
I
soda
thought, what's the
bread.
most Irish of things I could have?
Yeah.
So I made some soda bread with some Kerrygold butter, which is the best thing. So just
Yeah.
bread and butter.
I always remember one of my most nostalgic smells that I've never smelt since is going into Grandma and Grandad's house and Grandad cooking bread, and I've never been able to replicate. I don't know what he put in that bread, but even when I cook bread at home or anything, never smells like when Grandad used to use that bread maker.
Well, that was good, H.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 for 5, you still failed the test.
Yeah, but it wasn't bad though, was it?
Better than you thought, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Oh, well, maybe you'll do better than the next test. Actually, I don't know what we're going to do next. What are we doing next?
I don't know, but I'm picking after that film.
Right, well, I think it's time for this. It's Burger Stews, Burger Review. It's Burger Stews, Burger Review. It's Burger Stews,
Where's your burger phone?
It's
Oh.
Burger Stews, Burger Review.
Eating a burger, then he maxes it out to 5.
That was my acting skills, H. Oh,
Better, can only get better.
H. I was pretending that I'd forgotten where my burger phone was.
Yeah.
I was pretending, and
Very good acting. It
that's good
convinced
That's a
me.
good piece of acting, wasn't it? Yeah.
Convinced me, yeah.
Multitudes.
What's true?
He's eating a burger and he's marking it out of 5. H. This week, I've gone secretive.
You've gone secretive.
Secret. This is the Nottingham Secret Burger Club, H. And it's a little food wagon
Yeah.
that travels around Nottingham and Nottinghamshire
Yeah.
and has got some really good reviews online.
Well,
Secret
do you know,
burger
a
club.
lot of things like that end up like quite big online. You know, like things like, I'm trying to think what they call them. You know, like Spud Bros started. They were like an online thing, and now they're like a franchise, aren't they? They're everywhere.
Well, yeah, there's a van that I want to go to called Meat Castles, but that's like trying to find Narnia.
Yeah.
Trying to find that. I don't know anybody ever finds them.
Yeah. So is it the end of the rainbow with a pot of gold?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a burger van.
And a burger van.
Yeah, at least Secret Burger Club. They have like their routine.
Routine
And
stops,
on a
yeah.
Wednesday, they go to a pub, beer garden in Beeston,
Yep.
which is where I live. So the other Wednesday, I nipped in on the way home from work and had a West Coast burger. It's
Yeah.
like their signature burger.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
The meat was good. It had nice texture. The bun was soft, but not too soft. I mean, the pub was really busy.
Yeah.
I thought I got the wrong place at first because I parked out the front.
Yeah.
I went in the front door and the pub was empty. I thought, oh, there's nobody here.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that thing where they said, oh, I didn't ask, is there a burger van here? Because I thought I looked like a right oaf. I did that thing where I thought, oh, just wander around and pretend that I know where I'm going. And I went out the back into the beer garden and it was packed.
Yeah.
Because it was a sunny, it was a sunny
Yeah.
afternoon.
Sunday.
Sunny. and nobody was in the pub. They were all out in the back, so it was a bit of like a beer garden
Yeah.
stroke car park. But it was chock-a-block jam-packed full, man. And
Chocolate jump up.
yeah,
I don't even
chock-a-block
know how you
jam-packed
managed
full,
to
man.
say that. That was like a tongue twister.
And loads of people were out having burgers.
Oh.
Burgers and pints. So they obviously draw the crowds in. And it was good.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried about the bun because it was seeded, but it wasn't dry and it was all right.
Yeah, sometimes seeded buns are dry. I know what you mean there.
Yeah, they're like dry and crispy, aren't they? You think,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want that.
Yeah.
It wasn't greasy, but it was moist and it had good lettuce and pickle and a good sauce in it. But why did I feel disappointed?
Why did you feel
Why did I
disappointed? Was
feel
there something
disappointed?
missing?
I think it didn't have that X factor. It didn't have.
Didn't have a special, yeah.
You know, when you bit into it, you just go, "Oh, that's good." It wasn't like, "Wow, that was."
Yeah. Was it just a good burger?
Yeah, just a good burger. And I think because it's got so many good reviews, I was expecting
You were expecting
way
a bit
more.
of like a wow factor. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd still give it a 4,
Yeah.
which is a good
It's a
score,
good
isn't it?
burger.
But
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Though. That's not what we're
4 out of
after in
5.
Burger Shoes burger reviews, though. We're not after
No.
good burgers. We're after spectacular burgers.
yeah, and they're few and far between.
Yeah.
And I thought this was going to be one of those, but it wasn't. So good. And I mean, they had good fries as well, but nothing memorable. I mean, maybe I'll go back. This was the West Coast burger, which it was their signature burger, you know, the one that they sell the most of. You know, they do other things with other flavours, so maybe I'll try them again and try a different burger.
Yeah, now you know that the standard's good.
Yeah, no, it's not awful. And it wasn't like mega expensive. It wasn't cheap,
Yeah.
you know. But, you know, like Five Guys prices, which is what you expect to pay for a burger now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not ludicrous. So not bad value for money.
Yeah.
A little bit. I was going to use the word disappointing again then, but it wasn't disappointing because it was all right. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was just fine.
It
all
was
right.
good.
It was good.
Fine.
It was good. Yeah, you know, what was that
Yeah.
burger like? Yeah, it was good. It was all right, yeah. Yeah, it was good, yeah. Yeah, should we go there for tea? Yeah, we can go there for tea.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but some places, should we go here for tea? Oh, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like that.
Not like that.
No, not like that. So, H, I think we're
Yeah.
done then, apart from what's your telly been?
We've started watching The Boys. It's so good. We can't stop watching it. It's fabulous.
Yeah, and do you know what, H? We watched The Boys, and we watched them all, and we're on the most recent series, which is going to be the last series.
I know. We need to catch up.
Yeah, but that's it. I hope it gets better, H. I hope it gets better.
Yeah, but
Because the first few episodes on the
Yeah.
final season they're disappointing.
but what happened to you when you were watching The Boys in your last episode?
So we're watching The Boys, and
Yeah.
I think we'd finished watching episode 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Netflix does that thing, doesn't it, where it just automatically plays the next episode.
Yeah.
So it did that, and it started off, and
It's not Netflix,
it was
though,
like
is it?
an
It's
anime.
Prime.
Sorry, Amazon
Prime.
Prime. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it started playing the next episode. It was an animated episode, so
Yeah.
we thought, they've done that thing because they did a lot of animations with Black Noir,
Yeah.
the original Black Noir in the early seasons. So we thought, they've gone like avant-garde. They've gone like very
Well, they do make things,
artistic and
don't they, into like cartoons and things like that in the show.
yeah. And it
Disney-fied.
looked like it was going to be like a parody of Disney,
Yeah.
and so it started off where
It's
there
like
were
anime,
these
wasn't
two
it?
like
Yeah,
anime
you
thing.
were
So there was
saying,
a baddie who'd made a clone of themselves, and they were attacking the White House. So we thought, this is obviously a parody,
yeah.
some sort of satire created by or propaganda created by Homelander and the president to boost, the Seven and Vought
Yeah.
and their
As always.
visibility. So
yeah.
so they were attacking the White House, and then all these superheroes come along, and they were like the Seven, but they weren't the Seven. There were 7 of them, but
Yeah.
they weren't. It wasn't Homelander and the Deep and
Yeah.
all these. It was. But they were quite similar characters. So there was
Yeah.
like a Batman character. There was other, and they
Yeah.
could have been very similar to the
Yeah.
7. But we thought, this is terrible. But then we thought, maybe they're making it terrible because it's a propaganda
'cause
film, and
propaganda, yeah.
yeah, and they were just showing
And how
how
long did
these.
it go on for?
We
This
watched
clip?
about 15 minutes of it. Yeah. And then we thought, we can't. This is Boys has gone really downhill now.
Yeah.
We're just going to turn this off and go to bed. And then we realised that we'd watched all the up-to-date episodes and it flipped over to an animation series called The Invincibles.
You just been watching an entirely different show.
Yeah.
Minutes worth as well.
But we're talking about, oh yeah, this is obviously
Yeah.
a really badly made parody of this, and oh yeah,
And it was just for the
reading all sorts of stuff into it. Oh,
Yeah.
this represents this, and this look at
Yeah,
oh,
maybe
look at
this
this.
represents
And it-
that.
Yeah.
That is funny.
And it was just a really bad animated show called The Invincibles, and we were like, oh, right, we'll have to wait till next week now before the new episode
Did
comes
you
out.
just pack it in after that?
We just packed it in after that,
Yeah.
went to bed, yeah. And then the next episode. But then even then, the next episode of the Boys,
Was it not good?
it's like it's like the old writers. They've got some of the old writers there.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see who's credited as the writing or the directors of this show, because it's, the same characters are there, but I don't know, it's like the
Feel a bit
writing's been
different.
taken over by 15-year-old boys.
Yeah.
It's like, oh. And you just roll your eyes and you think, oh, all right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're not
And
there
it's
yet anyway,
just-
so no spoilers. We're only
No.
on season 2.
No.
So
But I'd be interested to see, because I think there's strong links to this TV program, not the Boys. But did you watch the Manosphere documentary, the Louis
I
Theroux
did watch the Manosphere documentary.
documentary?
What a journey that was. I mean,
What a journey!
I do know about these things online due to my generation and things like that. And you do see these things in your peers. Well, I see these things in my peers sometimes.
Really?
That you do. I have grown up in a generation that, I mean, God, these influencers, not naming any names, have been around for a very long time now. So during teenage years, it definitely did have an effect on young women's lives, I would say, absolutely. And how people interact, which is quite crazy that people have that much influence, isn't it?
Well, it really is.
Yeah.
And,
I tell you what, though, that some of the moments in the documentary,
they're funny, but they're not funny, and they're quite sad.
yeah. I mean, there's
Really
the bit
sad and
where
alarming.
Louis talking to one of the blokes he's interviewing. He asks him a question, and then the bloke starts talking into the camera, and he's like, "So what it means is, right, it means this and this," and then Louis
About
like,
his workout, yeah.
"Who are you talking to?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you." And it's like, because they're that used to that format.
Used to talking into the camera.
Yeah, not to real people. Yet they're influencing people on how to interact with people and not knowing how to. It just, there was some wild. One of the wildest comments, I think, was one of the men saying, "Oh, name one thing around us right now that a woman's invented." Literal Wi-Fi is everywhere, for one, and you use it constantly. Like, there was so many things. I even went through the scene and picked out loads of things that women had invented, because I just thought, this is crazy.
Yeah. Well, when Louis says, "Well, can we know that?"
Yeah, do
And he
we
goes,
know
"Well,
that
yeah."
for sure? I
Do we know
I
that
love
for
how
sure?
Louis is in the documentary. He doesn't say, like, well, that's wrong. He says, do we
Yeah.
know that for sure, though?
Yeah,
He gives
there's
them
so much
opportunity, doesn't
nonsense.
he? To
He just sits in that awkwardness for such a long time.
I don't know how he
that,
does it.
uh,
I don't. But then the switch up as well in some of the people and how they were with Louis, at the start, compared to kind of when they started to realise what Louis does in his career and why possibly he was there. Their switch up in how they interacted as well.
They did, didn't they? It was like it was like a gotcha thing, wasn't it? They tried to spring all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff on
It was
Louis
like
Theroux, didn't they,
a
in the
defensive
gotcha
thing,
moment.
wasn't it?
I think you could see a lot in the people that Louis was talking with, the young people,
Yeah.
these influencers.
Yeah.
And how when you see them talking, they're absolutely closed off to themselves. You can see that they've like shut down a part of themselves, that they're not connecting with anybody.
Well, I think another instance that proves that as well is when a lot of them, I've noticed, hear things in the documentary and they go, well, that's a fact, because that man said it. And it's like, just because somebody's told you, it's quite a gullible mindset that to just think, oh, somebody's told me that, so that's a fact.
Oh, and he's talking about women absorbing DNA for every sexual partner that they had.
There was another thing as well where somebody had clearly gone down conspiracy theories and things like that, and it's like, just because somebody said it, it has to be true.
But then ultimately, at the end, it all comes out as like anti-Semitism.
Oh, honestly, when he says I'm not
misogyny.
I'm not homophobic, and then he goes, you said that you would disown your own child if they were gay, and he goes,
Yeah.
that's not homophobic though, and then he goes, and I'm not anti-Semitic because he's a Jew, and the cameraman is just stood in the corner like silently. I don't know what it was about that scene. I thought that whole interaction was just bizarre.
It's like, I can't be racist because my best mates.
Yeah,
think,
it was.
That's not.
I wonder how
works.
these people felt rewatching it when it came out.
Well, this is the thing, because probably not, because a lot of it is down to not masculinity, because there's nothing wrong with being masculine, and there's nothing wrong with masculinity.
Yeah.
It is toxic masculinity.
Yes, there's a difference.
Masculinity that has become toxic.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being, and this is what, sadly, this is what these young men are seeing. They say, we're prevented from being men.
Yeah.
Women are preventing us from being men. Nobody's preventing you from being men. Nobody's preventing you from being manly or being masculine.
No.
Nobody's stopping you doing that.
No.
Feminism isn't doing that. Being a feminist isn't doing that. Women aren't stopping you doing that.
No.
They'd like you to stop killing women.
Yeah.
That'd be right.
I'd like
nice.
to feel safe, thank
Please.
you. That would be.
I'd like to feel safe walking home from the pub. You know, not having to walk home with your keys between your fingers, just in case. Somebody's going to murder you or rape you or touch you or shout at you
and
or
then
say
these
something.
men will argue with things like, oh, well, not every man, is going to kill someone. Like, yeah, but, when you look as a woman, when you look into statistics of things, it's a scary world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whatever anybody says.
Not every man, but always men.
Yeah.
So I think there's lots of parallels or lots of links between the Manosphere documentary and the Banshees of Inisherin.
I would agree, to
because
do with how you
lots
view
of them,
yourself and how you view others and things like that. And
and
definitely.
when you look at young boys watching Andrew Tate, HS Tiki Toki, all the people in there, they go, this is what we should be, and they're persuaded to have all these what they call masculine traits, aren't they? Which they're not masculine traits. It isn't. But they're all.
One of the bits made me laugh when he once his opening scene is driving in and he's like, I can't remember, Lambo or Porsche or whatever it is, and then he goes, I just want to say this is not the epitome of successfulness, and I do not believe that this is what being proud should feel
this
like.
Car is not
like
success,
nobody actually said that. I don't know why you've just kind of come out and said that. Like you didn't need to. Yeah.
The way that they view women and talk about women, it's like women are a different species. It's like they haven't spent time. They haven't spent time with any women at all. And they don't view women as people.
Yeah.
Which is why they say, "Oh, we're not misogynist. We love women. We think they're beautiful."
I know there was so much.
But you're not.
Like we love women.
But you don't treat women like human beings. You don't see them as equal to you.
Yeah, one of the bits when he says he said, "Oh well, I'd welcome a woman being an astronaut or a CEO or anything like that." And he says, "But I don't think a lot of them want that."
They don't want that. They don't want that.
You know what I want, like, or another woman 30 yards down the road from me wants. You are just one man.
Yeah, because women aren't people.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, it's scary for one, but it wasn't a shock, if you know what I mean.
No, sadly, it's not a shock, is it? But do you know what? Wasn't and these were quite extreme examples, aren't they? But what I think is more damaging, because it's pernicious, is and it creates the Manosphere, and it creates the situations that the Banshees of Inisherin are talking about, and a lot of it is perpetuated by comedians. Yeah, and I see it a lot in the world of stand-up, less so when I'm going around to grassroots comedy clubs. Lots of people are called out for bad behaviour, so it's getting better, but there are still a lot of comedians out there, particularly men comedians, but some women as well, because they're kind of like internalized misogyny because that's the way that they feel they're expected to behave.
Yeah.
Because it's the way to get on.
I think you're right. I think that a lot of things, I think there's a line between comedy and, you know, getting or putting out dangerous kind of
and it's not
information.
seen as dangerous. So lots of comedians will just say, well, it's just jokes. It's just jokes and it's just banter.
Now, I've heard that before, and one of my biggest arguments to that is yourself and comedians that I know that don't need to do those things, that don't need to say those things. It's never necessary.
No.
Ever.
You're in a position of power and you should exhibit some responsibility.
Yeah.
And the more these so-called jokes and banter degrade women or any other marginalised group from society, whether it be the trans community, whether it be people of different ethnic backgrounds, the working class, homeless people, the more these stereotypes are lampooned or talked about in a negative way, the more that they are reinforced, the more people will feel that it's acceptable to talk about them in such a way and have jokes and have banter. I
completely agree. That's it. Like, sometimes I think that people, you know, you never know who's going to listen to that banter and take it as solely what it means.
Yeah, and it is dehumanising. You're dehumanising people, and if you're dehumanising people, you don't see them as people. You don't see them as equals. Well, why are they wanting to live here? Why are they wanting to do this? Why are they in my way? Why are they taking up my space? And that's what happens to women a lot. So now, when women want equality, want to take up, you know, certain spaces in certain environments, and it's like, oh, hang on, no. How come they're coming into my space now? This isn't all right. So they just put down because
I think one of my favourite movies about this is bizarrely enough is the Barbie movie.
I love the Barbie movie.
You know, like just the way that he's like, we need, but just brilliant. I mean, yeah, it's just fabulous.
I think what every young woman should do is when they first meet a potential future partner
is watch
the Barbie film.
Yeah.
And then see their reaction to it. And if a young man says, oh no, I didn't like that.
Yeah, just hold up a red flag.
Don't see them again.
Yeah.
Hold up a red flag and say, right, this is our final.
Yeah. Only second date if you like the Barbie movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I urge stand-up comedians to stop saying, oh, it's just jokes. Yeah. It's just jokes and you should be able to joke about anything. Well, you can joke about anything and that's right. But you also have to be careful
you
about
have a
those
duty
jokes.
Of care, don't you, to make
You've got a duty of care.
Like on our podcast, we talk about human things, I would say, is probably, and human interaction. We don't try and dismiss people because we've got a duty of care to we have our own opinions, but we don't infringe that on anybody else. And that's what you have to, you can't do that.
And you have to reflect. And if you do say something wrong or do something wrong, you know, think about it and then get better.
Yeah.
Reflect on it.
Yeah.
And improve.
Yeah.
Don't get defensive and double down on it, which is what happens in the Manosphere a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you said a racist thing, just acknowledge it and think, oh, right, well, how can I get better?
Yeah. I think one of the things that people struggle with is I think that they see apologising or learning about themselves as a weakness, is what I was going to say. And it's not. Not at all. It's
not weak. No, but men will perpetuate that thing and say, oh, you're being weak. If you back down, you're weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, specifically,
be strong, and then that's how war's starting it.
Yeah, like Banshees of Inisherin, chopping off fingers and killing donkeys.
Chopping off fingers, and then it leads to people dying or women being murdered.
Well, we've ended on a really happy note there. I've noticed.
Well, I thought it was interesting that there are those themes for it all.
I think we were right to tie in the two,
It should be another red flag as well. You know, if you're a young woman and you want to go on a date, the two things are red flags if...
there's more than two.
They don't like the Barbie. And then another one is, you say, oh, should we watch the Ricky Gervais special?
Yeah.
And if they watch the Ricky Gervais special, they go, oh, yeah, that's really good. It's just jokes, isn't it?
Just jokes,
freedom of speech
banter.
And that. You should be able to say what you want and just banter.
Yeah.
It's just banter. That's your second red flag.
Yeah. I mean, I meet a lot of people like that in in my everyday life. And I also spend, as a hairdresser, a lot of time with a lot of women. I very rarely get a male client in my seat, so I spend a lot of time with women, and then I'll go out somewhere like to a pub or a restaurant, a cafe or somewhere where there may be more men, and I notice them saying things that I don't hear on an everyday basis actually in my job, and it shocks me. And I think it's just, a lot of it is partly due to my job. I think if I was possibly working with more men every single day, that I'd become a little bit more acclimatized to it, not rightly so, but, you know, a little bit more used to it.
Well, you're almost forced to be in it, and as a man, you are, and it's you do have to. It's performative.
Yeah.
If I was in a pub with a group of lads,
It's intimidating.
It's intimidating. So you have to become
Yeah.
a part of it. So you almost have to shut off a part of yourself.
Yeah.
And then that part of yourself becomes shut off more and more
Yeah.
often the more you spend time around men. And it's particular men, you know, not all men.
Yeah,
but
it's certain groups.
If you're in a group of 6 or 7 lads,
Yeah.
it only takes 1 or 2 men to be particularly vocal or particularly all right, soft lad.
Violent, or, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to then you to be silenced. And the more you silence that emotional part of yourself, or that part of yourself that seeks connection, or that part of yourself that wants to be honest and
Yeah.
out in the world, you end up suppressing parts of yourself. And if you end up suppressing parts of yourself, you end up not being happy, and you end up being angry, or
And
you end up
it further enables all of these opinions and violence and things like that, doesn't it? And it's hard. Like, I know exactly what you mean. When out and about anywhere, there's an element of pressure and intimidation, and there's an element of standing up and doing what's right, and it's towing that line between. In that moment, it's really hard, I think, for everybody in the world to decide what actions to take in those moments.
there's 3 routes out of that.
Yeah.
You withdraw,
Yeah.
you acquiesce, or you resist.
Yeah.
So you either, you know, think, oh, I'm not coming out with these
And I think
again,
we all do an
and you
element
leave.
of 3, don't we?
Yeah. Or you say, oh, just go along with this, and or you stand up and say something.
Yeah.
And the resistance part is always the hardest thing to
Well,
do.
yeah, that's
And
true.
I don't do it enough,
Yeah. I think,
and it's hard.
yeah, I think that's it, though. I think it is hard, and I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't do it enough, but we're all human at the end of the day. And as long as
Yeah.
you're trying your best, then that's what you got to do, isn't it? Socially, it's
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what should we say? I think after Banshees of Inisherin, Manosphere,
Yeah.
and all these kind of things, just
Watch the Barbie movie.
stand up. Just watch the Barbie movie. Don't perpetuate stereotypes.
Yeah.
Don't perpetuate misogyny.
Yeah, and don't say
and-
it's banter.
Yeah, and don't engage with banter,
Yeah.
with ridiculous banter, locker room behaviour, locker
Yeah.
room chat, and
Yeah. And people say things like, well, humour it's lifting and it's fulfilling and it's enlightening and things like that. And it is. It absolutely is when it's used right.
it's powerful.
Yeah. and then he's got his pen. We'll end on that note.
All right, H.
All right, then.
I think we've done. How do people get in touch with us? Which they should.
Which they should. We've had a few comments on the Spotify, and I've noticed we see them quite quickly, actually. So that's a really good way to get in
Yeah.
contact with us.
It is actually, yeah.
We have an Instagram, My Generation Gap. We have Facebook, My Generation Gap. We don't have TikTok.
We don't have TikTok because we're perma-banned from
We're
TikTok.
perma-banned.
But
And we also have an email.
well, I've got my
Well, you've
TikTok,
got your
and I put stuff
TikTok.
out there.
Um,
Yeah, Stuart Vincent Moore.
yeah, and then we've also got an email, mygenerationgap@gmail.com.
And come and find me. Come and find Terry Pathick.
Yeah.
Performing at a couple of festivals and doing some gigs. I've had a couple of gigs
Yeah.
actually recently, which I'll talk about next show. I'll do that
Yeah.
right now. We've been going on too long.
I know. We're like 1.5 hours
Already.
again.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good
All right, then.
afternoon,
You
H.
too.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
All right.